Hello everyone, Kaoz here, and welcome to another old school RuneScape video. Solo Chambers was one of the most frustrating pieces of content for me, but with proper guidance, it is now something I look forward to as I am still grinding for my first solo purple. I know a lot of you playing the league may be motivated to go back to the main game to try new content, so today I want to teach you how Solo Olm went from one of my most dreaded bosses to something you can learn in no time. Boys and girls, we only have 2 more videos to go until the end of 2024, including this one, so if you find it useful, consider subscribing with notifications on, drop a fat like for the YouTube overlords, and join our Discord server with the link in the description to run chambers with me and our amazing community. Before we start, let's get on the same page as to what this video is and what it isn't. This will be a guide to get you into Solo Olm, learning the Mage 3-0 method, Melee 4-1 method, and head running in Phase 3. This video won't be covering the entire raid as I am working on a full Chambers guide coming to you in 2025. Also, I won't be using a Scythe or a Shadow, so naturally, we are not going to do any high-level combat achievements, Shadow running, or using the Scythe for the Melee Hand. I will only briefly talk about Phase 3 with a Twisted Bow in case you want to do a rebuild at Chambers, but I will also teach you how to do it with a Bofa. This video wouldn't have been possible without my friends at DLSif and Cyberite, so a massive shout out to them for making Solo Olm incredibly easy to learn. That being said, let's begin. We have a lot of things to cover in this video, so we are going over the requirements much quicker. For quests, do Lunar Diplomacy for lunar spells since it will help you their first few clears. When you improve, Thralls will be needed, and for that you should do a Kingdom Divided. That is pretty much all we need for quests, specifically for Solo Olm. If you want to solo Chambers and learn this on your own without a group, minimum base 75s are heavily recommended. I personally think that as long as you have 85s you should have a better time, and of course, the higher the levels, the better the gear you can bring when you start getting more money. Don't forget about a decently high agility level since we will be doing a lot of running, and for Herblore, you need 60, 75, or 90 to make different tiers of overload potions if you don't get any throughout the raid. The only reason why you should bring the bare minimum gear is if you're an Ironman who is really itching for Rigor and Augury. You can go in with this gear, but you will have a fairly difficult time. To do acceptable damage, and if you want to start taking Chambers a little more seriously, you will need a Dragon Hunter Lance, a Bofa, and a Trident of the Swamp. Bring armor and jewelry to boost your power when using different combat styles and to do even more damage. If you look like this, you probably don't need this guide, but armor upgrades aside, we are keeping the Dragon Hunter Lance to learn that 4-1 method and to make Olm dizzy when running around the room. My future Chambers guide will go a little more in depth when it comes to upgrades, but for now, copy as much of the gear as you can. The second best way to get here is with a Fairy Ring code BLS, and when you do enough Chambers, you have a chance to receive an item called a Tablet. Using this item on a Xerix talisman will let you teleport to Xerix Honor, just outside the tent to where you can bank. But until then, the Fairy Ring is your best bet. Specifically for Olm, activate the plugin called Ground Markers. When you're outside the room, export the tiles found in the document down in the description, which I will explain later. Go to the plugin hub and download a plugin called CoX Editions, which will give you more information for the Olm phases. Finally, get the Tile Indicators plugin and mark the option that says Highlight a True Tile for you to know exactly where your character is. Before we head into the guide itself, I will give you more information about the fight in general, so it makes more sense when I walk you through an entire KC. If you have the CoX Additions plugin active, when you enter the room, Olm will be highlighted in either red, green, or pink. Depending on what color he is, which is completely random, he will be able to throw different attacks. Red means he is on the flame phase. For one of the attacks, he can throw a fireball at you, causing you to take damage over time when you say burn with me. Second, he can create a flame wall, for which you will have to use a water-based spell on the flames to get away. If you're caught inside, you will take heavy damage. Green means he is on the acid phase. For one of the attacks, he can make you leave an acid trail behind you, but as long as you move every tick, you can avoid all damage. Second, he can throw acid on random tiles around the arena, which you can get lucky with, and they won't get in your path. Pink means he is on the crystal phase. For one of the attacks, he can make crystals fall from the ceiling, and you will have to move away to avoid them. Second, he will throw 2 crystals in random spots around the arena, and they will explode after a few seconds, causing heavy damage in a big radius around them. If you're decently far away, this is not going to hurt a lot. Keep all of these attacks in mind, because I will be referring to all of them as auto, meaning an auto attack. Aside from these, Olm can also do 3 things that are considered auto attacks. One of them is simply his basic attack, for which we will use either ranged or magic. You can see what he is using based on the form of the projectile being a crystal or a flame respectively. And even though these are thrown at random, he is more likely to use that same style rather than swapping. Another thing I will refer to as auto are little orbs thrown your way which are red for melee, green for ranged, and purple for mage. When this happens, Olm will deactivate your prayer, and you will need to protect against them. Finally, let's go over another type of attack called specials. When fighting Olm, the melee hand, which is technically his left hand but will be on the right side when facing him, will display one of 4 symbols. On the first 2 faces, he will only use 3, and they will always be in the same order. The crystal symbol will spawn crystals under you, causing heavy damage if you don't move after a few ticks. The lightning symbol will summon lightning from both ends of the room, making their way towards the other side. For the last one he does normally, Olm will summon a portal, and if you're doing this solo, you will have to go to the white circle that appeared somewhere around the arena. I say normally because there's a final special he uses only during phase 3. After the 3 specials, an infinity symbol will appear on the melee hand, meaning that not only can you not damage it, but he will heal all damage done to it as long as the symbol is active. When you get the hang of it, you can skip this and every special in phase 3 no problem. Throughout the fight, I will be referring to these as specials, and remember it is always the same order: crystals, lightning, and portal. For auto attacks we have the basic range and mage attacks, prayer orbs, and all 6 attacks we mentioned before. 2 final things to mention. First, for phases 1 and 2, he can go into any of the flame, acid, and crystal form, and these do not repeat. And the second, during the 3rd and final phase, he can use any of the 6 auto attacks mentioned before, meaning burn, flame wall, acid trail, acid pools, falling crystals, and crystal bombs. Step 1. Supplies. If you want to learn solo Olm, make sure to get through your raid as safely as possible and carry a minimum of 4 stamina potions. Running out of, well, run energy at solo Olm will make things extremely frustrating, so you want to be under the effect of a stamina potion at all times. I still go in with 2 full potions whenever I do this. You also want to take as much time as possible to make an obscene amount of brews and super restores. When you die inside the room, you will drop all your raid supplies, so instead of going in and picking them up, you want to grab a fresh batch from the chest. If you picked up any overloads and prayer enhanced potions during the raid, use them to increase your DPS and the prayer points. Step 2. The arena. As you can see from my tile markers, I have 2 lines of yellow tiles near the edges of the room, and 4 yellow tiles around the middle. If you stand anywhere on the long lines, Olm will turn his head towards you. He can also be facing middle, for which you will have to go on one of the long lines for him to turn. The catch is that he will only turn middle when you go to the other side of the room, but not all the way to the long line of yellow tiles. If this is not very clear, this is the perfect transition to the next point. Step 3. Head movement. If solo Olm sounds scary, you can go in there with a few sips of stamina potion to try this yourself. Enter and mimic the movement seen on video for Olm to turn consistently. With the correct timing, you can do this indefinitely, and it will help you get the hang of where you need to stand for him not to attack you. This is where the very first thing you need to get comfortable with before running, so you know how to fix any future mistakes so Olm stops attacking you. Step 4. Setting up. When you are confident enough with the movement, we are going to use a defense reducing weapon on the melee hand. Things like a BGS, Dragon Warhammer, or Elder Maul will do fine. Use a special attack to then continue head movement, and if done right, the hand will be crippled. This means that you will not be able to attack it. Once this is done, prepare to start doing some damage. Step 5. Mage Hand. If using a trident or a synchronicity staff, make sure to set it to accurate. If it's on long range, this method is not going to work. Do head movement until Olm is facing either left or middle. Stand on the outer yellow tiles, and right before he turns, attack the Mage Hand. As soon as you see your character or your true tile move, click on the red tile farthest from you. When you get there, immediately click on the hand again, and as soon as you see your attack animation, click back towards the tiles labeled Mage, 1, 4, or 3. Wait for Olm to turn middle, and then go back to the long line of yellow tiles. Repeat this until the Mage Hand is defeated. Here you have a few seconds of Mage Hand so you can better see the rhythm and hear sound effects in case that helps. Step 6. Splashing. That previous step was not everything there is to the Mage Hand. If it was, you will notice that sometimes, when you attack Olm from the right side of the room and do everything perfectly, he is not going to turn left. This is because you splashed. And if there's no damage, Olm is not going to turn all the way. And we have two ways to fix this. For the first one, when you see your character animation going from right to left, but you don't see an experience drop, that means you splashed. As soon as you notice this, go to the opposite end of the room, wait for Olm to turn, and then go back to the other side of the room to rinse and repeat. The second way to help with this is to bring thralls, and by having a mage thrall attacking Olm's Mage Hand, you will be a lot less likely to splash since the thralls ignore defense and hitting them will be more common. Here we have a few more seconds of Mage Hand footage, this time with a Mage Thrall. Step 7. The Melee Hand. So, after the Mage Hand dies, you are still wearing your mage gear. If you remember, the melee hand should have already been hit with a defense reducing weapon, so no need to worry about a special attack. When you start getting into Solo Olm, you should do the head running strategy seen in step 3, and change your gear as you move along to avoid messing up the rhythm. This is the part that gave me the most trouble when learning Solo Olm, but we are going to break it down in 4 solutions to make it as digestible as possible. When you have your melee gear ready, go to the right line of yellow tiles. One tick before Olm turns right, go to the pink tile near his thumb. Wait for him to do something, and as soon as you see his attack animation, click on the melee hand. From here, one of 4 things can happen. So let's see how to do them from easiest to hardest. Step 8. Automatic 4-to-1. When you click on the melee hand, and if Olm throws an auto attack, wait until your next attack animation and immediately run to the left, followed by immediately attacking the melee hand again. If Olm doesn't do anything after his first attack, you have immediately landed in the 4-to-1 cycle. After attacking the melee hand again, go to the yellow tiles to the right, attack the hand there, and right after the attack animation, go to the tile labeled 1-4 and attack 2 times. After this, repeat the cycle of going to the middle, attacking the melee hand, going to the yellow tiles, and 2 attacks at the 1-4 tile. If done correctly, Olm will not throw any specials, and you will only have to deal with auto attacks. Here you have a few seconds of the setup to help with timing. Step 9. 3-to-1, followed by 4-to-1. Following the same setup as before of standing on the pink tile and attacking the melee hand after Olm's animation, the next possible scenario is for him to throw 2 auto attacks. Remember, this can be a basic attack, or one of the autos that can happen on the flame, acid, or crystal faces. This setup is also pretty simple. Attack the hand, and if Olm throws 2 auto attacks, do the same movement as before. This time, instead of attacking Olm in the middle 2 times, you are going to attack him just once on the 1-4 tile, and then run to the middle. After this, he will be set to 4-to-1, and you can go back to attacking twice in the middle before the usual movement. Here you have some clips of how to set it up properly after your initial attack. But that don't require any, that don't have any bottlenecking problems. 1, 2, and we need to do a 3-to-1 because that was 2 auto attacks. So we do this, we do that, and boys and girls, we are now in a 4-to-1. Easy fucking game. So yeah, I'm crafting my own task list that does not have any problem with bottlenecking. Step 10. Special attack. Going back to the same setup of standing on the pink tile and waiting for Olm animation before attacking, if Olm throws a special attack right away being crystals or lightning, hit the melee hand 3 times. And by doing the same movement as before, Olm will automatically be set to a 4-to-1 cycle. Hit him twice in the middle, run left, immediately click on the melee hand to attack it, and go to the yellow lines to repeat the process for the 4-to-1 setup. If the special attack is portal, there's not much you can do other than cope. Go to the portal, and then go back to perform head movement to set up the attack animation to see what Olm is going to do next as you stand on the pink tile. So remember, if special attack, 3 basic attacks, and immediately perform the 4-to-1 setup. Here is another clip to show you how it's done. We come here to fix it. And then we do this. Into 2, which see what he does. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That was a little weird. This is the acid walk, but we should be fine. 4 to 1. That was probably not the most ideal acid walk ever, but I'll chill. That's probably the only time where I can take like a ton of damage, except when I'm here. Step 11. Auto attack into special. This won't happen too often, but it's definitely the trickiest. After Olm does an auto attack, he has a chance to throw a special attack. You can do the same thing as before, doing 3 basic attacks, and then go to the middle, then go to the right, and then to the 1-4 tile to be into the 4 to 1 cycle. I say this is the trickiest because if the special attack is lightning, you will have to do some fancy movement to get back to the 1-4 tile in time, so you can set up the 4 to 1 properly. Here you have an example of how to do this, and remember to replicate it when the special is either crystals or lightning. Step 12. Fixing the setup. If at any point you mess up during the melee hand, and trust me, you will thanks to acid trail, falling crystals, or crystal bombs, I will teach you how to fix it to avoid frustration. Whatever is going on in the room, wait for things to cool down, and then go back to step 3 for head movement. Do 1 or 2 cycles for Olm not to hit you at all, and then get back into that pink tile to repeat what we have learned so far, reacting to one of the 4 possibilities seen before. You can even label the tiles next to the edges of the room to remind you what to do. 1 auto, and then nothing, 4 to 1. 2 autos, do 3 to 1 once, and then the 4 to 1. Special attack, do 3 basic attacks to start running, and then get into 4 to 1. And finally, auto into special, do 3 basic attacks, and then get back into the 4 to 1 cycle. Step 13. The Flame Wall. This is the most disruptive auto attack of them all, so let's see how to deal with it. When Olm is in his flame phase, or during P3, he can throw a flame wall. If you're in the Lunar Spellbook, with runes for the Humidify spell, click on the fire and walk out of it. If you lost the rhythm, go back to step 3 for head movement, and then back to the pink tile to react to his first action. When you get more confident though, you can bring thralls, but movement is going to change a little bit. When 4 to 1 is set up, instead of doing 2 basic attacks in the middle, the sequence is the following. From the middle, run to attack the melee hand. Step on the yellow tiles to attack once, and immediately run next to the wall. Wait there for 1 tick, and then click on the melee hand when you can perform a basic attack again. Immediately run to the 1-4 tile, and perform 4 to 1 once again. If done properly, you will notice that Olm will open his mouth to throw Flame Wall, but because he has no space to do it, you will have successfully skipped this attack. Again, here you have a few seconds of this timing. Step 14. Intermission. When both the mage and the melee hand die, Olm will go down, and crystals will start falling from the sky. Simply avoid their shadows in a 3x3 area, and wait a few seconds for Olm to reappear. Hang around the melee hand once again to perform a defense-reducing special attack, and then follow everything we have seen in the video. Run back and forth to set it up, put up your mage gear, do the 3-0 mage hand being careful for splashes, and then back to the melee hand as you do one of the 4 possible setups to land a clean 4 to 1. If not on the flame phase, you can do your 2 attacks in the middle. Step 15. Phase 3. If done correctly, this phase is the easiest of them all because you can set up 4 to 1 immediately. Wear your special attack weapon and hover around the melee hand. When Olm shows up, stand next to the pinky. As soon as the hand is attackable, click on it. Wait for Olm to turn to you, and then go next to the pinky. Perform another special attack when possible, and right after the attack animation, go to the middle, and right back to the 4-to-1 setup. Remember to go next to the wall because Olm will be able to throw a flame wall at you. If everything went right, you can do 4-to-1 until the melee hand is below 50 HP. Swap to your mage gear and attack the mage hand doing the 3-to-0 method also until it falls below 50 HP. I say this because if one of the hands falls, you will only have a few seconds to kill the other one. Otherwise, they will come back at full health. When they are both low HP, I recommend killing the melee hand first to avoid the infinity symbol to heal. Once the melee hand falls, finish the mage hand, and we are heading to the final part. Step 16. The final stretch. During this final part, Olm can throw every attack seen so far except for hand specials. In addition, crystals will continue to fall from the sky until Olm dies. This part can get pretty chaotic, so here's how to do it with a twisted bow or a crossbow. Do a bit of head running to get into the rhythm. When you reach the yellow tiles on the right, wait for Olm to turn. Right before he does that, click 2 tiles to your left, attack him, and move toward the left. Do one more attack before reaching the opposite yellow tiles, and when he turns, step on those to do another attack. As soon as he turns left, start running to the right, and do one final attack before reaching the tiles on the right to rinse and repeat. Here you have a few seconds of footage to see how it's done. As for the Bofa, here you have some footage of me doing it, and with a 4-tick weapon, you won't be able to do 5-to-1 unless you are intentionally missing ticks. Be sure to attack whenever possible, and keep running the head to avoid as many Olm autos as you can. The final thing to mention is that Olm can throw 2 pulls around the room, so step on them for a few ticks to get more points, otherwise he will deal a little bit of damage. Step 17, the spoils. When Olm reaches 0 HP, the crystal near the entrance will break, revealing a chest with your reward. I was lucky enough to snag my first solo purple for this recording, but sadly, it was after around 60 solos. This activity can be very profitable with decent RNG, but even if you don't spoon a twisted bow, doing solo chambers, and especially Olm, will make you a much better player. If you found any of this confusing, check the description for a bunch of my runs where I explain everything I'm thinking of when running solo Olm. I promise it's not as difficult as it looks, because after learning the massive tips, this is now something I can do with no trouble at all. Boys and girls of all ages, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you enjoyed and you learned something useful. If you did, tell me what you think of solo Olm and if you have done it or not. And if you include the term RSN and your username in your comment, you'll be entered in our weekly bond giveaway, for which we will pick a winner on Friday's stream. I want to give a massive thank you to all the wonderful people you see on screen right now, whose contributions go towards funding this project I love so much, as well as a local animal shelter we help every month. If you want to be part of this list of legends, click the join button below to see all the cool perks and rewards you can get from monthly subscription, in the videos, in the live streams, and of course in the Discord. For the last video of the year, we will go over the best updates Old School RuneScape received in 2024, in case someone wants to come back to the game and have a quick refresher of new additions to the game. For now, I hope you have an amazing day, have an amazing week, and I will see you then. Peace.